Human beings carry within themselves a divine spark that has been systematically obscured through centuries of conditioning designed to create dependency on external authority. This inner light represents your authentic spiritual nature, waiting to be recognized and activated through conscious awareness and intentional practice. The concept of inherent unworthiness functions as a powerful psychological mechanism that separates individuals from their natural spiritual sovereignty. When people believe they require salvation from an external source, they surrender their innate capacity for direct spiritual experience and transformation. This dependency creates a cycle where personal power remains dormant while external institutions maintain control through manufactured guilt and fear. Ancient mystery traditions understood that spiritual awakening occurs through initiation and inner work rather than through worship of distant figures. These schools recognize that every human being possesses the same divine essence that can be activated through specific practices and understanding. The goal was always self-realization rather than devotion to external authorities. Your body serves as a temple containing sacred geometry and energy centers that respond to conscious activation. The spine functions as a central channel through which spiritual energy flows when properly awakened. This activation occurs through breath work, meditation, sound vibration, and other practices designed to awaken dormant capacities within your physical and energetic systems. The cross symbol represents the intersection of matter and spirit within human consciousness. This intersection occurs at the heart center where horizontal earthly experience meets vertical divine connection. Understanding this geometry allows you to recognize the sacred architecture already present within your own being, eliminating the need to seek completion through external sources. Spiritual transformation follows alchemical principles where base consciousness transmutes into refined awareness through specific stages of development. These stages involve dissolving old patterns, separating authentic from conditioned aspects of self, and ultimately integrating higher frequencies into daily experience. Each individual must undergo this process personally rather than receiving transformation through external intervention. The crucifixion story functions as an encoded map of spiritual death and rebirth that occurs within conscious seekers. The placing of thorns represents activation of the pineal gland, the piercing of the side symbolizes opening of energy channels, and the final words indicate completion of a transformative process. These symbols point to internal experiences available to anyone willing to undergo conscious spiritual work. Lost texts and hidden teachings reveal approaches to spiritual development that emphasize direct experience over belief systems. These materials describe practices for awakening inner light, communicating with divine intelligence, and manifesting spiritual abilities through dedicated training. The suppression of these texts demonstrates the threat that empowered individuals pose to systems dependent on spiritual dependency. Sacred feminine wisdom encompasses the receptive, intuitive aspects of spiritual knowledge that balance the active, mental approaches often emphasized in formal religious structures. This wisdom includes direct knowing, emotional intelligence, and energetic sensitivity that provide access to spiritual insights beyond intellectual understanding. Recognizing and honoring this aspect of consciousness restores wholeness to spiritual practice. The anointing process involves activation of the golden oil or light energy that rises through the spinal column during deep spiritual states. This energy, when properly cultivated, illuminates consciousness and activates dormant DNA patterns that support expanded awareness. Regular meditation and energy practices facilitate this natural process of inner illumination. Your electromagnetic field responds to spiritual practices by generating coherent patterns that influence both your internal state and your external environment. When this field operates in harmony, it becomes a tool for manifesting aligned experiences and attracting opportunities that support your highest development. Understanding and working with your energetic nature accelerates spiritual progress significantly. Collective awakening occurs as increasing numbers of individuals reclaim their spiritual autonomy and begin operating from their own inner authority. This movement creates ripple effects throughout society as empowered individuals stop feeding systems based on dependency and fear. The transformation happens organically as consciousness expands beyond artificial limitations. Breathing techniques serve as direct methods for accessing altered states of consciousness and activating dormant energy centers. Specific breath patterns can induce mystical experiences, clear energetic blockages, and facilitate direct communion with higher intelligence. These practices provide immediate access to spiritual states without requiring external intermediaries or complex belief systems. The resurrection principle operates through the death of false identity and the birth of authentic spiritual nature. This process involves releasing attachment to conditioned patterns of thought and behavior while allowing your essential being to emerge. True resurrection happens repeatedly throughout life as you continue shedding layers of limitation and expanding into greater expressions of your divine nature. Inner work includes practices for clearing emotional residue, healing childhood wounds, and dissolving limiting beliefs that block spiritual flow. This psychological clearing creates space for higher frequencies to anchor in your system. Without this foundational work, spiritual experiences remain temporary rather than becoming integrated aspects of your daily consciousness. Sound and vibration affect consciousness at cellular levels, providing tools for transformation that operate beyond mental understanding. Specific tones, chants, and frequencies can shift brainwave patterns, activate energy centers, and facilitate healing on multiple levels. Understanding the science of sound gives you practical methods for accelerating spiritual development. Your intuitive guidance system provides constant communication from higher intelligence when you learn to recognize and trust its subtle messages. This inner knowing operates through feelings, synchronicities, dreams, and direct insights that bypass logical analysis. Developing sensitivity to this guidance transforms decision-making from mental struggle into flowing responsiveness to divine intelligence. Sacred geometry appears throughout natural systems and within human consciousness as organizing principles that reflect universal patterns. Understanding these patterns helps you recognize the divine intelligence operating through all manifestation. This recognition supports alignment with natural law rather than resistance against the flow of existence. Energy healing capabilities awaken naturally as you develop sensitivity to subtle frequencies and learn to direct conscious intention through your hands and heart. These abilities emerge from understanding yourself as an electromagnetic being capable of influencing energy fields through focused awareness. Regular practice develops these skills into reliable tools for supporting healing in yourself and others. The mystical marriage represents the integration of masculine and feminine aspects within individual consciousness. This internal union creates wholeness that eliminates the need to seek completion through external relationships or achievements. When inner marriage is accomplished, outer relationships become expressions of joy rather than attempts to fill internal voids. Transcendent states of consciousness provide direct experience of unity beyond the illusion of separation. These states reveal the interconnected nature of all existence while demonstrating that individual identity represents only one layer of a much vaster reality. Regular access to transcendent awareness transforms your understanding of who you are and why you exist. Activation of light-body processes involves upgrading your energetic systems to sustain higher frequencies of consciousness. This biological and energetic evolution prepares you to function effectively in expanded states of awareness. Physical symptoms during this process indicate your system adapting to operate at new levels of spiritual capacity. Divine communication occurs through multiple channels including direct knowing, symbolic visions, physical sensations, and environmental signs. Learning to recognize and interpret these communications develops your relationship with higher intelligence. This ongoing dialogue provides guidance, support, and confirmation as you navigate spiritual development. The path of awakening requires dedication to daily practices that maintain your connection to inner authority while clearing obstacles to spiritual flow. These practices create stability that allows you to anchor higher frequencies in practical life situations. Consistency in spiritual work transforms temporary experiences into permanent upgrades in consciousness. Personal sovereignty emerges as you recognize your capacity to access divine intelligence directly without intermediaries. This recognition dissolves dependency relationships while empowering you to take full responsibility for your spiritual development. True spiritual maturity involves becoming your own guide while remaining open to wisdom from all sources. Integration challenges arise as expanded consciousness encounters practical life situations that operate from lower frequencies. Learning to maintain spiritual alignment while engaging worldly responsibilities requires skill and patience. The goal involves bringing higher awareness into all aspects of life rather than escaping into spiritual bypassing. Collective service becomes a natural expression of awakened consciousness as you recognize your interconnection with all beings. This service flows from abundance rather than obligation, offering your unique gifts to support collective evolution. When enough individuals operate from this awakened state, transformation accelerates throughout human society. The ultimate realization reveals that seeking ends when you recognize what you sought was always present within your own being. This recognition transforms spiritual practice from acquisition to expression, from seeking to sharing, from becoming to being. The journey continues as endless deepening into the infinite nature of consciousness itself.